will send you out a no obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, team? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 13th day of July, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you had a great weekend. Whoever you are, wherever you are right now, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, just go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone. Follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds. That will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, on the days that you're out of the office, away from your desktop, not to worry, point any internet connected browser to cfrn.net/live, and there you'll find a live real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. The only difference is you won't have access to the chat box. You won't be able to participate in the discussion. So the preferred method is joining from our homepage, and you only have to do that once, because after that, you'll get an email each day right before the show. And that will allow you to join the show with one-click access each and every day. We also stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter during the live broadcast. The other 22 hours of the day, you'll find us streaming some of the best Christian content I could hand curate. Now, we've been streaming the gospel to the four corners of the universe since April of 2005. We're so glad to have you as a listener, part of the audience. And those of you that have chosen to become a part of the family, the bell is for you. Let's open with a word of prayer. Stan, the name of that song is called The Blessing. If you Google it, it'll pop right to the top. Father, we thank you for your many blessings, for your mercy, for your grace. Lord, we come before you today with special prayer. God, where greed and ignorance have been our downfall, we pray that you would bring us as a nation back into alignment with your righteous principles. We pray especially that you will protect our children, both living and unborn, so that they will be preserved physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for your purpose and for your glory. God, we pray that you would put a stop to all violence against children in any form. Expose anyone who would do evil against a child before it happens. Bring the children of our land who have strayed from your ways back to you. We ask, God, that you would raise up Holy Spirit-led leaders in our state and national governments. Remove those who are corrupt or do not follow your ways. Guide our president and his advisors and all of our congressmen and senators to always do the right thing. We pray that you give them godly wisdom to make correct decisions. Replace the ungodly with those who serve you. Raise up righteous judges who will be chosen to uphold the law according to your word. Protect us from our enemies, foreign and domestic. Keep our economy from failing and bring us back to be the nation we were meant to be. We lift up praise to you and thank you because you are Lord and we are never without hope. Thank you that because you work powerfully through our prayers, we can see things begin to turn around even now. Help us to pray as often and fervently as we should. Enable us to pray according to your will so that we can continue to enjoy your hand of blessing upon our land, upon this great nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, let's take a look at the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets, the indices, as they are called. Start here in the US. Currently, the Dow, pulling some fresh data. That loud noise you hear in the background, neighbor picked a perfect time to have some kind of work done. Not sure what it is. May have to go pull the plug. All right, the Dow's up 394 points, 1.5%. NASDAQ up 180, 1.75%. S&P 500 up 40, 1.25%. The Russell 2000 up a little over 10 points. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 6 cents, trading 40.61 last. Gold up $10.30, trading 18.12.20 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 493 points. That's over 2%. Shanghai gained 59, almost 2%. The Hang Seng added just 44 points during the session. In the European markets at the close, FTSE was up 80 points. That's about 1.25%. DAX added 166, 1.25%. The CAC gained 85, 1.75%. That gives us a green day in Asia. It's a green day in the UK. And so far, a big green Radio Monday here in the US of A. Let's go to Michael to get a recap of what happened in the live training room. When I come back, we'll head straight to the daily chart where we hit that big picture daily resistance number that we've been talking about now for weeks and weeks. We'll see what happens. All that, answers to your questions, Logic 247, Concierge Trade Alerts, and top of the hour, we'll even talk to John if he can get his computer rebooted and online. So Michael, take it away. Valerie, have you heard anything from Michael? I guess that's a no. All right. Then I guess we should just proceed. Send him a quick message. Michael, are you coming on today? Question mark. All right, let's just go to that S&P chart daily right now. Okay. Let's shrink it up, and then we'll move in close. But we'll start out with the big picture. We can get rid of these fibs for now. Okay. All right, open it up. Okay, here it comes. Yeah, not cooperating today. Okay, just want to make sure you can see the whole picture. Okay, Michael just messaged me. He'll be here in a minute. Okay, all right. So this was an all-time historic high in the S&P 500 Emini Futures back in January. When price could go no higher, we retraced back to the BBC, where we found support. That's what we expect. Price then went on to put in a new all-time historic high. And when it couldn't go any higher, it headed back to the BBC, but this time it did not find its support. In fact, we gapped lower on the open. We opened and closed below the BBC, and that began the pandemic crash. So now, here's what happened. On this pullback from this all-time historic high, this pullback to support at the BBC created this area that's been on the chart now for months, okay? As the market began to recover, the pandemic recovery, we got back above the BBC. As long as we're below, we anticipate lower prices. But once we're back above, we anticipate higher prices. And higher prices is exactly what we got. We had a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. And we had a big leg. Which took us right to this area, okay? Resistance. Resistance will always send price looking for support. Support will in turn send price looking for resistance, which is what we found here, resistance at red and falling, along with red and falling, we found a 62% reverse fib. And so we battled that red and falling, 62% reverse fib for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. We went back to the BBC. We actually got below it. Okay. So we popped back up. We battled it a couple more days. And then on this day, we actually closed above it, opened and closed above it. which took us to this swing high, and then this swing high. And now today, here we are challenging this very important swing high on the daily chart. Today's high is 32.2250. The high, the swing high, 32.2050. Swing high here, 32.20, and swing high here, 32.1675. We have a weekly zone this week at 32.24/25. Now, as I said this morning in the pre-market strategy session and in the room, if we're able to get through this area, this big picture resistance area, first pass, first attempt, I'll be very surprised by that. Once we do make it through, the most likely scenario, of course, is that this resistance will send us back in search of support, possibly at Blue and Climbing, if not there at the BBC. When we finally do make it through this swing high, and I'm not ruling out the potential for it to happen today or tonight on Globex, we'll just have to wait and see. The next area of big picture resistance is at 32.72. That's the price where the bearish cross took place. So there's your big picture look. I hear Michael. So Michael, if you're ready,
Yes,
take it away.
I am here. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Sorry about that unexpected
worries.
delay.
No worries.
Turns out Jake has to be 18 to work at Lowe's. He's looking for a job.
Get him a fake ID.
Yeah, yeah, that's all I needed.
I'm getting my son a job because he's been a little lackadaisical on finding one. So I'm just going to get him an inbound customer service job that he can do from home. He likes to sit in his chair in front of his computer. So I'll make some money while he's doing it. So
Well.
Phoenix has always been ground zero for call centers. All the major banks and credit card companies all have their inbound, or many of them have inbound call centers here. They employ thousands of people across the valley. And once upon a time, all those workers had to go into their office to take the inbound calls and to reroute them to the right department and all of that. It's not a bad gig, especially since you can do it from home now. And even with no experience, they start you out around, somewhere between $12 and $15 an hour.
Yeah, that sounds like something we should talk more about.
Yeah. I'm sure they have similar opportunities in your area because it is a virtual type job.
Yeah, and
You're
not only that,
not limited to the Phoenix area.
we're getting an Amazon distribution center here too. They're building one right now in Charlotte.
Yeah, I've got one of those about 5 miles from my house. That's why sometimes when we order stuff from Amazon, we actually get it the same day.
Yeah. Well, we're
So
expecting
that would
something
require
today.
him. That would require him, getting on the bus, and it'd probably be about 30, 45-minute drive, which is that in and of itself is not an issue at all. It's just putting him back around other people, but the economy's got to open up. And if I say I believe in opening up the economy, I can't say that out of one side of my mouth and then the other side tell my son to stay home because I'm afraid he'll get sick. He's young, he's healthy, I'm sure. His immune system can take it. There is the aspect of him picking something up and bringing it back home, but I'm sure God will take care of that. All right, I got your charts up. We're good to go. It's all yours.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Monday, the 13th day of July, 2020. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. That's Christian Financial Radio Network.net. Right here it says free 5-day trial. Click on that and you'll be brought to this page, Emini Training School. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on that confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So make sure you click on that confirmation link. All right. Now, the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we had a pretty good morning. We only made one tick in the euro, but we made 17 in crude, 17 in gold, and 4 on the ES. Now, the one ES trade, I'm going to show it to you in a few minutes here, but and it traveled like, 5 points, maybe 6. Anyway, we ended plus 396.25 on the morning, and we had 15 minutes and 1 trade to get our goal for the day today. We're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 trades. On the month now, we're up $3,053. That's over 8 trading days, averaging $381 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year now, we're at $46,618. That's over 126 trading days, averaging $369, just about $370 per contract per trading day. Okay, so now let's go over what did happen and didn't happen. Now we had some good opportunity here in the gold, and then it got really choppy. But let's just go over what we actually did do and didn't do. All right, so we started out really choppy here right at the beginning, and then we had a nice shorting opportunity right there that I missed, and another one right there that I missed. And this was a long opportunity right here. There was a momentum long trade, would have been break even. A short trade right there, momentum short, would have been profitable. Long trade off the BBC right here would have been really nice and profitable. Now I'm going to look at the YBR here again. Why don't I just fatten that up so you can see it a little better? Hang on. There. So we had some good opportunity off the YBR, both long and short this morning. And I know some of the guys in the room were just trading the YBR this morning, and they were making their goal pretty early on. The thing with the YBR is you got to have the right color, you got to have the down close, and you got to have the right kind of separation down here. Okay, so we had one right there. That was a great YBR trade. Now the bounce off the BBC right here was good enough to get your goal for the day. This would have been a momentum short. That would have been a break even. There was a YBR short right there. Another YBR, well, actually, right here was okay, but right here was not. A close below the trend line right there. Okay, and then here on gold, this was our first trade on gold. We picked up 10 ticks. Then the next trade on gold, we picked up 5 more, put us at plus 15. Then we picked up 4 more to put us at plus 19. Then we stopped out pretty much to the tick right here. And that put us down to plus 11. And then over here, we picked up 6 more to put us at plus 17. And right here, we had a break even. You see YBR, 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 YBR. Those trades are just all over the place if you wanted to just trade them. All right, so let's jump over here to the euro. Now, we didn't have a lot of opportunity on the euro today. Once the market opened up, we had a long trade right here that I missed, a long trade right here that I picked up 1 tick on, long trade here that I missed, and then it just got really choppy. So there really wasn't a bunch left. On crude, hang on. Okay, on crude, here we go. On crude, first trade, we picked up 10 ticks. That's where we got the goal for the day. Okay, that was our first trade of the day. We picked up 10 ticks there, then we picked up 7 ticks here, and that was all we did with crude. We missed 1 right there, but that was it. Crude was kind of, I don't know what to call it, but it was not really a good trending day for crude oil. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna back the ES up. Let's see, this was our 1 trade on the ES. We went long here at 97.5, and it ran all the way up here, then pulled back, then ran up some more. I wasn't expecting it to run up that much, But I want to go back to gold in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean on gold too. But you see we had a nice YBR trade right there. Not so nice YBR trade right there. A nice one there. But on the ES, let's just go back to the very beginning. You see it started out really choppy, and I was waiting for a trend and waiting for a trend. Then as soon as it looked like the trend was going to begin, it pulled all the way back and went in the opposite direction, gave us a long trade. It failed to put in a higher swing right here. Okay, so it turned around and went back down, and then it made a second shot at it. And I was saying we're going to get to 3,200, and we're probably going to punch through 3,200 for a couple of points. But it really kept going after it got through 3,200. You know, we picked up 4 ticks on this, and it just kept going all the way up here, 3,211. And now it's even gone higher. It's 3,220, I think, right? Isn't it? 3,217.5. But it went all the way up to 3,222.5. Was there opportunity on the way up? Well, yeah, but the problem is you're bumping into the high of the day this whole way here. And, you know, my rule for trading into the high of the day is you got to have enough room to move your stop to break even between your entry point and the high of the day. You got to have enough room to get your stop to break even. So on the retracement is what I would have been looking for trades on. You know, the YBR trades on the retracement right here, right here, right here, right here. You know, every one of them worked out. Keep in mind, all we want you to be able to do is get your goal for the day. Okay, get your goal for the day and put the mouse away. You don't want to be sitting at your computer for 10 hours a day, or even 6 hours a day. Get your goal for the day. And today for me it would have been the first trade, 15 minutes. Well, actually, it would have been 6 minutes. But that was the morning session today. So there was plenty of activity and plenty of opportunity. Now, this is our 102nd day consecutive, knock on wood, day of getting the goal for the day. Now, that's unusual. These are unprecedented times. If you're not using our system and you're not trading like we do, I don't know why. No, these are unprecedented times. And look at the numbers. Those are daily numbers in 2 hours, and I'm only catching probably 20% of the trades. So anyway, today we made 1 tick on the euro, 17 on crude, 17 on gold, and 4 on the ES. Put us at plus 396.25 on the morning session. Today I took 15 minutes in 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're at $3,053. That's over 8 days, averaging $381 per contract per 2-hour day. On the year now, we're at $46,618. That's over 126 trading days, averaging $369.99 per contract per trading day. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net, and right down here it says free 5-day trial, no credit card required. Click on that, and it's going to bring you here to this page, EminiTradingSchool.com. Now you can go directly to EminiTradingSchool.com if you want to, but all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. And you can tell us the biggest trading challenge, so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? We don't know that you took the free trial until you click that confirmation link. All right? All right, and that was our morning session. So with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. And Dwayne is ready.
Yes, I am. A recap of the recap.
Today, 15 minutes, 1 trade, $100 per contract.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're looking at the daily chart again. S&P 500 Emini Futures. Swing high on the session, 32.22 half. And the previous swing high right here, 32.20 half. The following day, only 32.20. And then the following day, 32.1675. and then the big day, which took us all the way back to the BBC in one fell swoop on June 11th. We found support at the BBC and the 24% fib. Fibs that are on here right now are reverse fibs, and we don't need those at the moment. So we'll do that. Now, if we use our other fib tool, we can project into the future what will become important price levels for the S&P. Let's see if my computer catches up with me. There we go. Okay. One more. All right, that'll work. All right, this tool right here. This one's your Fibonacci retracements if you're using DT Pro. This is the Fibonacci price extension tool. So we want to go from the low to that swing high we were just talking about. And then we want to connect the retracement low and using 14th century math. You can see that based purely on math and nothing else, a 38% Fibonacci price extension will take us up to 33.18. Just so happens, derived in a completely different manner. The highest weekly trading zone this week for the S&P E-mini is 3315/3316. So we have two different methodologies pointing at the same important price, important area. Now, that happened. This can't get challenged until we're able to close above this swing high and then hold the area on a pullback. When that happens, then the move will be from 32.20 to 32.72. So we've got about a 50-point journey from the swing high right here to this bearish cross right here. Now, while this was an incredibly big picture area where we expected resistance and found it, that still holds true here, but even bigger, based on our methodology and our strategy, will be getting through this one. Once we get through this one, that will put us nose to nose with the all-time historic high in the S&P 500 E-mini Futures. Now, it's important to remember that the indices, S&P, Dow, Russell, NQ, are all best of breed indexes. And what that means, both the S&P, it's 500 large cap companies that have met a lengthy list of criteria set forth by Standard & Poor's. Once a company is added, they stay in there forever as long as they stay healthy. But if they start missing their numbers during the earnings season or just fall on hard times, those companies are taken out of the S&P 500 and they're replaced with another candidate, a company that is healthy and exceeding their numbers during the earnings season, that type of thing. So in the big picture, the S&P 500 will always go higher over time. That's true of all the indexes, all the best of breed indexes, S&P, Dow, Russell, NQ. Now, will there be times like this? Crashes, deep pullbacks, etc.? Absolutely. But when this is all done, this happens. So whether we make it through here this time, maybe we have to go back to the BBC, get some support, make another run at it. We will eventually get through this area. We will eventually take out this all-time high. and we will put in a new high. Now, again, based on the Fibonacci math, 33.18 would be a 38% extension. 50% would be 34.41. A 62% extension would take us up to 35.63. And a 100% extension, it's the S&P 500 E-mini, way up to 39.58. That's not going to happen overnight. There's a whole lot of things that have to happen before we get there. Now, let's take a look at last week. Was week 101 of Logic 247. That is our round-the-clock E-mini alert service based on current price action. Delivered, these alerts are delivered around the clock 24/7 via the private Telegram channel. 2 a.m., 2 p.m., alerts come through the channel when opportunity presents itself. Channel opens for business Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, remains open until Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Futures trade around the clock. They do take a 1-hour break Monday through Thursday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, so this is what happened last week. We had a total of 136 alerts. I believe that's the most alerts ever issued in 1 week since we started Logic 247. And again, that's based upon opportunity presented by the market, and there was just an awful lot of opportunities last week. Now, 33 of those never triggered. That left us with 103 actionable alerts. 8 of those were stopped out. So that's 8% of actionable alerts stopped out. That's not a typical number. A typical number, an average week, 20% are stopped out. That's Logic 247. The Concierge Trade Alerts, which we'll take a look at in just a moment, those are based on historic price action. This is current price action, Concierge Trade Alerts, historic price action. Now, when they both point a finger at the same important price, important area, that's where you're going to find your highest probability, lowest risk trade opportunities. Now, we talk a lot about 2 points in the S&P as an example, but that holds true for any market. 2 points in the S&P is $100 per contract. 10 ticks in gold or 10 ticks in crude, that's also $100. 2 points in the Russell pays $50 a point. The Dow pays $5 a point, so 20 points. The NQ pays $20 a point, so 5 points there. All of those add up to $100 per contract per day. Now, some strategies, some methodologies teach you to chase as many points as you can get in a day. And there's nothing wrong with that, just a matter of choice. Our approach is somewhat different. Our approach is teaching all of our traders how to consistently reach their daily goal. Most of our traders choose 2 points. It's a nice number. There's never a day that the S&P 500 or any of the other markets that we'll discuss today don't offer the opportunity multiple times to take a couple points or the equivalent thereof the market. If your goal, on the other hand, is to take 20 points a day out of the S&P, well, it's a little more difficult. Days, while the market will move more than 20 points, finding any one directional move that goes 20 points, may or may not happen. But there's never a day that the market does not give the opportunity for at least a couple of points for the equivalent thereof. So last week, all of our traders had 103 opportunities just based on the Logic 247 to reach their goal for the day. But again, 8 of those were stopped out. So that's 95 individual unique opportunities around the clock. It allows you to take a minimum of 2 points, and in most cases, plus quite a bit. Okay. This week so far, we start Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. So since last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued 27 alerts total, still waiting on a disposition of 8. 1 never triggered. So we've had 18 actionable alerts. 18 actionable alerts, of which 4 have been stopped down. That's 22% of actionable alerts. Now, what we've averaged over the last 101 weeks is 20%. So last week's total of 8%, not typical. What we saw since we opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, very typical. Now, let's go to the Concierge Trade Alerts. I'm going to drag those up to the big screen. If you would like to grab a screenshot, you're invited to do so. Okay. Now, we've got some new additions. I'm not promising that I'll continue to do all the extra ones, but there were some requests, and I had the time available, or I made the time. The ones we've done forever, S&P, the Dow, the Russell, Crude, the NQ. I replaced the 10-year, I replaced the 30-year bonds with the 10-year notes last week. That'll probably stay. Gold has been in there forever. And then I took soybeans out and I added the Canadian dollar, the euro, the British pound, and silver. And for those who traded the silver alert last night, that bell's for you. And you'll see why here in just a moment as we work our way through these. So I guess I need to do it like that now that we have such a long list. See if you can get a screenshot of them all. I guess they don't all quite fit. Snap. Snap. There you go. All right. We'll start with the S&P. Okay. Now, those of you who were with us last week, you'll remember. And for those of you who missed the shows last week, you can always watch previous shows by going to youtube.com/CFRN. We record the show each and every day. We have for years. So you can scroll back a day, a week, a month, a year. You don't have to watch the whole 2-hour show, but you can fast forward right up to the point where we're doing the recaps. Now, we had some descending price channels last week, some ascending price channels. We had ascending inside of descending, and big week for channels. I don't always point all the channels out, but last week they were so obvious it seemed a shame not to. We've actually gotten back into that ascending channel, but that's not our focus here today. Last night's Concierge Trade Alert for the S&P was to consider being long 3208. Which is, there we go. $32.08. Listen to for a reboot. Come on. All right, 3208. I'm going to stop with the line drawing and just put the prices on the chart. Speed this thing up. Come on. 3208. Let's see if we get through this show. All right, 3208. Now, not only was that a Concierge Trade Alert, it was also a Logic 247 alert. I had told John to hit us at 1 o'clock. So, John, I'll open up your mic here in just a few minutes. Just hang tight. All right, for 3208, we put in a swing high at 3222.50. So it's basically 14 points. 14 times 50, $700 per contract traded. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Price will pull back to the BBC or get below the trigger if this support area right here at 32.14 and blue and climbing, if that doesn't hold, then we dip back below the trigger, potentially find support at the BBC. As you can see on the pullback last night, heading into the London Open, we pulled right back to the BBC, found support, put in another leg that took us to the Wall Street Open, got a retracement here. This is the opening candle on Wall Street, this red one. We found support in the pre-market strategy session. We discussed there was two potential things that would happen. Buyers would rally us at the open on Wall Street, take us up to this trigger at 3208, or we would pull back to the BBC, find support there, and then that would launch us. Now, the swing high is 32.22.5. Last night on Logic 247, the alert that went hand in hand with that is right here. 3209, initial target 3211, potential resistance 3214, potential resistance 3220, and then this week's weekly trading zone at 24/25. So again, the high so far 22.5. Okay, so that's an example of the Concierge Trade Alert, the Logic 247 alert. Remember, one's based on historic price action, the other is based on current price action. When they both point you in the same direction, that's where you'll find your high probability, low risk trade opportunities like this. Now keep in mind this swing high at 22.5 ties in to this swing high right here, where we've been saying for weeks that we would expect resistance when we got there. While we've not sold off as of yet, we have encountered the resistance that we were looking for. Okay, so now it's a question: will this highest weekly zone from last week, along with blue and climbing, will that be the support needed to go back and challenge this high, or will we drop back below the trigger, possibly even finding support at the BBC to launch the next run? I don't think the buyers, the bulls, are going to give up this easy with one attempt. I think we'll have several attempts. Whether we break through or not remains to be seen. If we take out 32.24, then just right above that around 27, look for some potential resistance right there. All right, John, I'm going to get your mic open for you right now. So if you're listening, if you're ready. John, your mic is open.
Thanks.
Oh,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound great.
Great. Well, look.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's starting to shape up into a pretty dramatic day, actually. You know, it's already a dramatic day, but it's starting to get dramatic to the downside. We came in with an 11:30 sell this morning. Just happened coincidentally to talk to a few people who were asking me about Tesla. I told them I had a sell signal at 1775. They asked me why, and I said it's proprietary. So we just went down to 1675, so not a bad call so far.
Yeah, good job.
However, what I did say is, look, you know, we might get a sell signal for a few hours into the afternoon, and then we could find some support and potentially go back up again, you know, towards the high, maybe even go to higher high.
You need to get that?
That's okay. So also you know, tomorrow obviously is, you know, being such a strong start to the week, unless we really crater this afternoon. You know, we're really going to possibly have a retest tomorrow, but we're definitely getting into dangerous territory here. I said a long time ago I was looking for about 11,300. You may recall on the NASDAQ 100, and we're within a day or two of potentially getting to that level. I think that is a brick wall as far as I'm concerned on the upside, temporarily, maybe even, you know, longer term. So I think there's going to be a problem at that level for the markets. You know, after Wednesday, Thursday, you know, we may run into some trouble with this market. The NASDAQ could actually correct somewhat, and the Dow could actually, you know, still be the last man standing. You know, as we get into late July, August, the prospect of a correction, especially from these incredibly high levels, certainly increases a lot. Still a lot of unknowns. You know, remember we've got a kind of a two-tier market. Although the airlines are actually starting to perform quite well today after a dip, they're you know, and look, you know, you can't rule out the broader economy getting better. You know, it's sort of overdue for. In fact, I was looking at Ford this morning. I talked to a guy about Ford. I'm not super bullish on this stock, but I suggested it might, you know, it could possibly pop $1 or $2 or $3 on this Robin Hood thing. It's very widely held, and obviously with Tesla and everything going on, it actually looks kind of bullish. You know, it looks like it could take a run.
It does, John. It actually does. It looks like, in fact, from here, about 650 up to 750. That might be, you know.
And you know what we were saying, Dwayne, about I mean, look, you know, we are, I mean, in spite of the COVID and everything, we're living in the greatest time of ever, you know, with all the technology that's going on. And
one of the greatest markets as far as trade.
For sure, never been anything like this. And you know, we said this is the strongest period in the, you know, and remember my call at 800 on Tesla, you know, you know, we thought it would go to 1200, maybe 14, 1500. Here we are 17, almost 1800 today.
Which one?
On Tesla, you know, from our space launch.
Speaking of Tesla, Tesla's action on Friday made Elon Musk wealthier than Warren Buffett.
Yeah, good for him.
Elon Musk's personal wealth is greater than the combined value of GM and Ford.
Yeah, no, good for it. It's incredible. And look, more power. And listen, that, remember I said, this SpaceX is,
that doesn't look so good.
If it executes well, it's going to be hugely positive for Tesla, just a huge confidence. I mean, this guy is really amazing. I mean, you know, when you look at what he's doing.
He is certainly the one of the great geniuses of our time.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was an education, that launch, because really for the first time ever, you were able to track the thing from start to finish. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I mean, you know, we know roughly how the space thing works, but, you know, we didn't realize just how fast you within an hour or two, you're literally doing 25,000 miles an hour. You're going at the same, you're sort of catching up to the same speed as the space station in orbit. That was kind of hard for a lot of people to get their arms around before, to understand how you connect with something moving at 24,000 miles an hour.
I know.
I was thinking about this over the weekend. Back in 2099 when the Russians first launched, and they built this incredible thing in space that gets better and better, and it's just absolutely, it is one of the wonders of the world. And but the logistics and how how they get it up to thing, and I guess it sort of rotates around the world, gradually catching up to the space station at a snail's pace, relatively speaking, until they actually get to the docking. So it kind of illuminated in everybody's mind how it made it much more easy to understand, and the stage rockets and what it takes to get through the various levels of gravity. Obviously as you go higher, it takes less power and less propellant to maintain those incredible speeds, but certainly eye-opening how rapidly it got to that incredible. Can you imagine sitting in a rocket and accelerating 25,000 miles an hour in about an hour? It's really stunning.
Yeah. I get sick on rides at the carnival, so I don't think. John, take a look at this chart. This is comparing the red line is the NASDAQ, candles are the S&P 500. The last time there was this much divergence between the S&P 500 was at the height of the dot-com boom.
Yeah, we're really, we're right up there. But as I was saying, look, believe it or not, we're already seeing, thanks to Tesla and everybody else, and all these new contenders, like I think I mentioned Polestar last week, really cool looking new electric car. Good, maybe even better than Tesla.
Yeah. Tell me what's the name again? I don't think we looked at it.
Polestar.
P-O-L-S-T-A-R?
No, P-O-L-E.
Okay, P-O-L-E.
S-T-A-R. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've seen it. Polestar. Okay, let's go to their website.
It's a Volvo car, but it's built in China.
Fully electric, 5-door fastback.
Pretty nice looking, isn't it?
Wow, look at those doors. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is really a sharp looking car.
So
now, is this available already, or is this a concept?
Yeah, apparently so. And it's cheaper. It's about 50,000 pounds. So it's a very competitive, and it's a really sleek looking. And
it looks nice, very nice.
Yeah. So but we're witnessing the beginning of there's an expanding number of car makers in the world now, really sort of catching on a little bit like the Roaring 20s, in the 1920s. But I think we're going to see not just the electric cars and maybe the fuel cells and the trucks and all the other things, but we're also going to start to see flying cars, in a few years' time, and air taxis and jetpacks and all kinds of things.
We've been talking about this for years, and it does seem like we're just one mouse click away from it becoming a reality.
Yeah.
Realistically, how far in the future do you think an air taxi is? 5 years?
Yeah, I think 24, 25 is when it's going to really heat up. Both in space. Space travel should be pretty routine by then. And flying cars will be definitely happening. I'm virtually, flying taxis and things. I think they're
Polestar, does it trade publicly, or is it just part of the Volvo?
It's Volvo. It's owned by Volvo.
What's the symbol for Volvo?
It's owned by Ford, I think. Volvo.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I knew Ford had bought. I knew that. Let's see. Ford bought Jaguar a number of years ago.
Maybe it trades still independently. I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently.
Yeah. I don't know if this is it or not.
Yeah, I guess it does trade.
Yeah, let me remove all this.
And remember, Aston Martin is another one. Remember, Aston Martin's got a very cool flying car concept. and they're really kind of coming into their own on F1 now. You know, they got their own brand. So I think Aston Martin and they just started reproduce. They put the DBS back into production, which is an awesome.
What was it called? The Aston Martin what? Vantage, Vulcan, Vanquish.
No, it's I think you have to put Flying Concept or something.
All right, we'll just throw flying after.
Yeah, there you go, Aston Martin Flying Car.
There you go, flying car. Oh my goodness. Imagine jumping in that thing, going for a ride, for a spin. Aston Martin has unveiled a flying car concept. This is from a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
One that.
But they're making a lot of progress, and the Lilium is the other one. They're doing well too. So it probably won't be long.
Lilium, is that an independent company?
That's that German one. I think Richard Branson is involved in that one. This is a super. This is mesmerizing.
Video of this.
This is mesmerizing. This thing. It's really something else.
Yeah, it is. If cars can drive themselves, and where are we with that whole thing? I mean, that was all anybody could talk about for a while, was these self-driving cars. I don't seem to hear much talk about it lately. Have they hit some kind of roadblock?
No, I think they're getting closer and closer, but I guess, with everything going on, the original, I mean, they were talking about the UK going, self-drive by 2021. It's probably, it's still going to be a few years, I think, before it's sort of like, everybody wants one. But remember, Google is very well positioned because they basically have the conversion pack. If there's 1 billion vehicles out there and we really do go automated, everybody's going to want an upgrade. And I think that's going to be an incredibly, that's going to stimulative to the economy. I mean, because the upgrading all these cars, all the inventory, as well as bringing out new models is going to definitely be a pretty big deal.
Right.
And I also think that the fuel cell is coming back into vogue, and I think that the prospect of having an air conditioner size fuel cell in your house that provides power, 100% reliability power, no more power outages is coming in this decade as well. It's either going to be solar, wind, fuel cell, but it's ultimately going to be self-contained power. And the grid, I mean, it might take 10 or 20 years for the grid to disappear, but the grid is probably, going the way of the horse and buggy.
Right.
So, yeah, another thing that's going on today, which is very important. By the way, finally our ship came in.
Which one?
Maxim Integrated, MXIM.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Has been taken over by ADI.
Oh boy, somebody liked that news.
Yeah.
That's quite a gap from 65 up to $70, so $5 gap.
Yep. Probably give it away a bit cheap, but it's done. It's a done deal now. So I guess
they've got earnings coming out here on the 23rd.
Now the interesting thing
to
is,
keep in mind, guys, we're heading into earnings season.
Yeah. Have a look at the SOXL, Wayne, if you put that up.
There we go.
Okay, you see that that's a potential doji top here on the SOXL. In other words, even though we're popping higher in some of these semiconductors, technically speaking, the semiconductor is diverging drastically against the NASDAQ, possibly the most drastic ever, which is absolutely something to be aware of, because it kind of looks like, I mean, tomorrow, what I would be very careful about tomorrow is you know, we had a screaming move higher this morning. We got up to 200 plus on the NASDAQ. We're 180, 137 plus at the moment. You know, if we were to have a higher, you know, another up night perhaps, and a higher opening tomorrow, you have to be careful of something opposite happening. Maybe we sell off right away from the open or within the first hour or something is a possibility. You know, tomorrow is supposed to be the strongest day of the year, so I'm not going to bet against
seasonally, you're talking about
July the 14th, Bastille Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And by the way,
okay.
we had, you know, remember we talked about the eclipse, and the eclipse, just like 2 or 3 years ago, turned out to be a very bullish event, you know, where we got into a melt up. And however, there's a comet out, and then, you know, maybe you saw it last night or tonight. This comet won't be seen for another 7,000 years. I think that's a pretty big deal, celestially speaking.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, so, you know, this could be the nail in the coffin on this market, actually, here in the next few days.
Comet. How to see comet Neowise, Earth's most spectacular comet since 2007. Every once in a while, large icy objects pass through the inner solar system. Okay. When the sun, the ice is sublimate, emitting volatile. They've just gone insane with all the advertising they put on these web pages today. It's just.
Oh, you mean, yeah, T-Mobile is really a force. You know,
Well, I'm just talking about all the all the pop-ups and things that you have to deal with to try to read a news article these days. I mean,
yeah, and
this one has no X, so there's no removing it until now. Now finally you can remove it. That's just that's acceptable.
Yeah.
But
by the way, Brave is a good browser to use. It's got fantastic
browsers. Yeah.
It really knocks out.
Now I could turn on. Well, you bring up a good point. I could turn on the ad blocker. I've got it turned off here because some site the other day, I forget which one of these little icons. Is it this one? Yeah, block ads. Okay, yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, because I don't know why I forgot that I had that ability. Now, some websites will give you a hard time and say, hey, advertising is how we generate revenues, so please turn off your ad blocker. But this is the Opera browser. The browser that John's talking about is called Brave. And I've heard it is a very good browser. I've never used it.
By the way, there's a new version of Edge out today too. And
I'm sorry?
There's a new version of Edge out. Oh, I didn't look at Brave. It's got a VPN built in now too. It's pretty cool. See that?
Where do you see that?
Up along to the left of the name. Up above.
Oh no, that's Opera. That's
okay. Okay.
Yeah. Opera has VPN.
Yeah.
Which I normally have.
Yeah. The problem. Let me tell you something. Well, I use the Brave on its own because it seems to do a very good job.
I'll have to try it. I've never actually.
And used it. You know, the interesting thing about Brave, I've noticed that maybe on my machine, but sometimes there's a bit of a glitch, especially when you're playing videos, and Brave and Edge seems to eliminate that. Listen, if you could just look at a few high flyers here.
Yeah, what you got?
Okay, there's the three order companies at the moment. Nikola, NKLA. So, you know, obviously it's sort of had its run and it's not necessarily responding to Tesla's bullishness. The next one is a Workhorse, WKHS.
Give me that one again.
WKHS.
WKHS. Okay.
That's a little bit better, but again, kind of selling here going on. Looks like a correction possibly from this. And then the third one is Shell, SHLL.
SHLL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's one of these acquisition deals. It's going to back in like same as Nikola did. But all three of them, are, obviously underperforming today. So with Tesla pulling back, it's definitely making these stocks possibly could be coming for a trip back to earth somewhat.
Well, we're on the
next
S&P, John. I don't know if you were tuned in at the beginning of the show, but I mean, we've been tracking this big picture resistance now for weeks, just waiting for price to.
Yeah, and look at the data. See, we're sort of going up to make a double top tomorrow, possibly, or the next few days.
Already exceeded. Swing high back here was 32.20 half, and today we've already hit 32.22 half. So we put in a two, and you guys heard me talk about this last week. Anytime the market puts in a nominally higher low, such as 1 or 2, I'm always very suspicious of that. I want to see it actually break through it and then hold it on a pullback, and then I'm ready to trade it up to this area here, 32.72.
Okay, we're about 22 cents from going. 22 cents from going through 20 on the silver coin. We want to put that up.
Oh, yeah. The alert we had last night.
As we've been saying, it can't restrain itself from moving higher right now. This silver and gold.
Yeah, let me show you the alert we had last night. GSIU. Here we go. Nope, not that one. Let me just go to the.
So while it still looks good, be a little bit careful here, because sometimes, when it looks like it's going to make it and then doesn't quite get there,
This was the alert last night to be long 1929 to 1932.
That's a great trade.
1936 to 1960.
Yeah, that's a great trade.
We just said 1978.
I mean, I'm sure your trades have been going gangbusters because, a lot of your stuff is momentum, and once you get that momentum going,
yeah,
it's the discipline that delivers.
So markets that have follow through, which is what we're seeing here. These markets, whichever direction they tend to move, they have follow through, and so this was just. Yeah, that was the logic of it.
Your crossovers there are really pretty impressive. I mean, look at the one from down below in the 18.5, where that it was a whole dollar move almost. Bit of a pullback, and then off we go again. Very classic.
We've had several alerts the last couple of days. So our traders have had alerts to guide them all the way up on the silver. So I know some of the guys have mentioned to me in private that they've done quite well with these moves.
We start making contract highs. Remember, contract highs is just like new 52-week highs. We talked about that with Tesla back at 800 to 900,000. Look what happened. By the way, breaking over. Remember I tried to buy this thing at like 493 when it once it took 500. I mean, gone. It was gone on. It was right. Next thing you know, it's 750, 800, 900. Once Tesla took 1,000, I mean, it's unstoppable. Look at it. I mean, it hugged 1,000 there for a while, and then it broke out, and that was a mega resistance. So we're kind of looking at the same thing with possibly even with the S&P that you're looking at right now. If we were to break up through that, you'd have to be aware of it. And I think the silver going through 20 is going to probably produce a $4 or $5 move pretty quick. So you really have to try and, if you're up to it, you have to try to be ready to get on board that move, because we are actually breaking out to new 52-week highs right now by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And potentially, and look, new contract highs. Remember, this thing came from 12, so from 12 to 20, you got like an $8 move. Puts us up in the 27, 28, potentially 25 to $27. And as you know, I think 33 to 35 is where we're going on the silver, possibly even by the end of the year.
Physical demand for silver spikes silver prices in March were at their lowest level since 2009.
By the way, remember, from 2004, which is when silver bottomed, we bottomed in 2001, 2001 on the gold. From 2004 to 2011, we went up 11.5-fold on silver versus 7-fold on the gold from 2001 to 2011. So, think about that. Going from, that actually puts silver at about 135 from this 11.5 times. See that?
Well, it would certainly, in my mind, be a lot simpler for silver to double from here than for gold to double.
Mm-hmm.
Silver
and especially with the copper. The copper's pulling back a little bit today. It's still up a lot, but it's pulled back from the high. But it kind of pulled back from the $3 level today. But it's been really, really strong, this copper. And it just hit 1980 on the silver, so we're 20 cents away now. The
futures contract, or
no,
I'm
it's
sure
okay.
1936 here on spot.
So it does look like we're going to do the old routine and probably have a late rally into the close.
The U contract.
We're up 500 points on the Dow, which is nothing to sneeze at. Probably be at 27,000 by tomorrow, the way we're going. So, look, there's a couple of other high flyers. There's one called EQ. that opened up this morning dramatically and gave us a buy around 8 or so on a little breakout. And
be real careful with these guys because we know how they end 90% of the time.
And then the other one is WIMI has gone crazy. That was actually a good trade on Friday. WIMI. It might have peaked. Some of these stocks
that's the proverbial 10-bagger.
Yeah.
When they let the air out of this one, guys, be careful.
Yeah. They may have already done it. It's kind of super crazy overdone today, this stock. So LABU, we haven't looked at that for a while. I think that's making new highs today. Yeah, not all-time highs, but the IBB is actually making new all-time highs, I think.
Which one?
IBB.
Okay. There we go. Anything else you want to cover?
No, listen, thanks very much, Dwayne. Great to be on this afternoon. Have a great evening. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, you take care of yourself. Talk to you tomorrow. Okay, guys. All right, on the Dow, last night's Concierge Trade Alert, long 26,260. 26,260. All right, so 26,260. And the high was 498. 498 minus 260. 200 and 38 points. The Dow pays $5 a point, so that's just shy of $1,200 per contract traded. Now, getting out of the swing high or swing low can be quite difficult because nobody knows it's a swing high or a swing low until after the fact. Not man, not machine, not algorithm, not nobody, not no way, not know how. Okay. So what do? Well, on an extended move, our indicators will provide you with what we call an exit signal. Here's an example of an exit signal. Okay. We had an alert back on the 10th to be long the Dow at 25,780. And the step line, now this one's a little bit unusual in that from the get-go, the step line was on the right side of blue and climbing. Typically, as we start out, it's on the left side, but the exit signal is right there. What makes that the exit signal is once the step line is on the right side of blue and climbing on a long trade, the first red candle that closes below the step line, that's the exit signal. That's the market saying, I'm running out of steam. You might want to consider taking profit here. And so this move from 25,780 up to 26,056. So about $1,000 per contract move. This so far has been a $1,000 per contract move. Now we have a this week weekly trading zone right here. Just eased through the next to the highest weekly trading zone. Okay. Now, I showed you that big picture look at the S&P. Let me show you. Let's get rid of these fibs. Let's make this a daily chart. Let's make it the Dow. Now, compare this. You see the distance we have from here to the previous swing high? Dow still got room to run. Whereas the S&P daily, we're already there, okay? And if that's important. The highest weekly trading zone this week, we're at the second to the highest now, just above it. 27,350. So $350. Still a long way to go to that highest weekly zone, but it would tie in. That's 27,440. Two different methods pointing you in the same direction, same important price, same important area. All right, so we've covered the S&P. S&P finally made their run all the way to the zone, 3224/25. Question now, we've got one more area I'm concerned about resistance, okay, at 27, 28. And then our highest zone is 3315/16. Could we do that before we turn down and go look for support on the daily chart? Anything can happen. Okay? At this point, I'm not ready to call it a high probability, but it could happen. In fact, last night in the discussion group, by the way, if you're on the trial, you're not taking part in the discussion, you're kind of missing out. let me show you a couple of the big picture ideas from last night. We'll finish the recap. All right. With price at important junctures across the indices, I want to see how London and Wall Street respond before issuing big picture alerts. ES has major resistance overhead at 32.22 on the daily chart. And that's what we're flirting with right now. Our zones at 24.25. From here, we need to get above the new WTZ. Ideas that are somewhat bigger picture, but require the ES to take out major resistance, which may prove extremely difficult the first time up. Aside from the NQ of late, the other indices rarely stray too far out in front of the ES. So the big picture idea from last night was 32.06 up to 32.20. It's a 14-point move. On the Dow, it was 26,340 all the way up to 27,300. Okay, 26,340 right here, with a potential high on this move, 27,300, way up there. On the NQ, 109.33 up to 11,500. 109.33 up to 11,500. So far, this move, we made it up to 1150. So this move on the NQ, last night's alert, the Concierge Trade Alert was to be long 109.40. And then also gold 1813 to 1850. Crude potentially 4120, 4480. These were published last night, 12 minutes before the London Open, which is 3 a.m. Eastern. All right, so let's finish up the Concierge Trade Alert recap. All right, we've covered the S&P, covered the Dow, covered the NQ. Let's go to the Russell. Now, I gave this trade out this morning in the pre-market strategy session to everyone that was there. This bell's for you. 1442 up to 1447. We've taken that out. We've hit 1450. Last night's CTA was to be long 1443. 1443. $14.43 up to 50, so it's 7 points, $50 a point, $350 per contract traded. So the only ones we haven't covered are crude and gold. Oh wait, no, I did some other ones. We'll take a look at those two. On crude, 41.15. We haven't seen that yet. Now let's get gold. Last night, gold, the CTA was long 18.18. And our high 18.18.80. Okay. Now the flip side on gold was down at 17.88. That never triggered. So let's make this a 30 minutes. And Canadian dollar, 6 CU. This was by special request. The entry on that was 73,760. 73,760. Okay. So as you can see, that one was profitable. The euro, that one was to be long 11.33.15. So that was here, 11.33.15. And then silver. Silver, long 19.28. That's over $2,000 per contract traded. And that was by special request as well. Okay, so that covers them. Now on logic, we already went over the stats for the week so far. Again, last week, 136 total alerts, 103 actionable, 8 were stopped out, so that's 8%. That's based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible. And then last night, our gap fill on the S&P stopped out. The gap fill on the Dow has not triggered, nor has the Russell. There's an NQ. Still waiting on this. Silver. Stop out on the Canadian dollar. There's the 10-year note. This hedge on the Dow worked out nicely. NQ, crude, hedge on gold, S&P again, euro, S&P again. And that was all Sunday night, and this brings us into this morning, midnight. It's the Dow, S&P, Dow, Russell. Still waiting on results for those. Canadian dollar, euro, Dow. Stop out on the Russell, stop out on the NQ. Crude, gold, S&P. And that's it so far this week. We're only one day in so far. And the recap for the week so far. That was last week, and that's this week so far. 18 actionable alerts, 4 got stopped out, 22%. That's not typical. That's not typical. The average is 20%. All right. Good word for the day. Have you ever felt like you've been wrestling with God? Sometimes we wrestle with our conscience, we wrestle with our thoughts. In Genesis 32:24, the angel of the Lord wrestled with him until daybreak. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. Why would God let someone wrestle with him? It kind of seems odd to even think about, right? Well, wrestling is a contact sport, close contact. Now, Jacob was a self-made man with an independent attitude that said, I don't need anybody but myself. Maybe you know someone like that in your life. Maybe you are that someone. How long will God wrestle with you? Only for a limited time. In Jacob's case, it was until daybreak. God knew that if Jacob didn't submit to him that night, the rest of his life would not go right. How close have you been? Hopefully you're beyond that point now, but at some point in your life, you were so close to surrendering it all to God, and then you didn't. And then you were again so close and you didn't. Finally, when you reached the end of yourself, you found the beginning of God. And so you stopped wrestling. So that was your daybreak, just as Jacob, God wrestled with Jacob until daybreak. When will your day break? When will life break you? There's a lesson here for all of us. Don't procrastinate. You may be running out of time. Before you forfeit your integrity or your family and your future, stop and realize that God knows things you don't know. He knows when the enemy plans to launch his next attack. He knows when death will be allowed to claim you. When he wrestles with you, it's to make you realize that you're wasting your life or neglecting your family, or to just show you that you're not the center of the universe. Or it's to encourage you to keep this job without quitting, or stay involved in this church, or to invest in this marriage instead of bailing out. God will wrestle with you until you stop making excuses and face the truth. And God doesn't sugarcoat things. He gives it to you straight. He won't let you get away with some of the stuff you've pulled in the past. The very fact that God is willing to wrestle you into submission means he has great plans for you. Indeed, what he has in mind is greater than anything you could ever conceive or imagine. That's why God is wrestling with you over whatever it is, whatever's going on in your life. Close contact is going to win. Do you need to wait until daybreak to surrender? It's a choice. Life is filled with them. God trusts you enough to let you make the choice. It's almost frightening. But it's the truth, it's the word. Now, remember, after that night of wrestling with God, Jacob walked with a limp for the rest of his life. Those who show up on our doorstep, traders I'm speaking of, are usually beaten, battered, bruised. Many of them walk with a limp. From the stuff they've been through, I call it battered trader syndrome. You've wrestled and you've wrestled and you've wrestled with all the shiny objects and all the gurus and all the things. And you never won the big fight. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a fight. The market's not the enemy. So you come with a limp that shows what you've been through. It's on some people like a spirit. It's strong. bitter, angry, have a chip on their shoulder. And I did nothing wrong. Not to them anyway. Never met them before. Defensive. And you know what? I don't hold it against them. I understand the pain. I understand what it feels like to wrestle till daybreak. Most traders reach a point where they don't know if daybreak will ever come. They were filled with hope years ago, tens of thousands of dollars ago. Down one blind alley after another. All looked so good on paper, on the website, in the email, at the seminar. But in the real world, just never seemed to play out. Instead of looking for tricks, instead of falling for another gimmick or another parlor trick, you really need to focus on understanding how markets work. A new person this morning in the live training room asked a question. What makes price go up and down? That was just a beautiful, genuine, innocent question. What makes price go up and down? Now, I'm sure that most of you in this audience you've been around trading long enough. You might even scoff at someone that asks such a question because you know what makes markets tick. You know how markets work. Do you really? Now, yes, it is buyers and sellers in the marketplace causing price to channel back and forth, back and forth. But do you understand? Can you detect? Can you see? Can you hear? Can you dance to the rhythm of the market? Some can hear, some can't. Some can see it, some can't. Some can dance with it. Some just haven't learned it yet. Now, don't be too hard on yourself if you're struggling, because 9 out of 10 traders fail. 9 out of 10 traders succumb to the 90-90-90 rule, which says that 90% of traders will blow up 90% of their money in the first 90 days. But there's a reason. The reason so many people don't succeed at the business of trading is because no one ever taught them how. Huh? Well, what do you mean? I've been to webinars and seminars. I bought the book. I bought the boxed DVD set. I've spent thousands of hours in front of these charts. I know. But did anyone ever actually just teach you how to trade? Somehow it seems like, well, it's been years and I've spent a ton of money. I'm sure somebody along the way tried to teach me. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. If they did you listen? And if you did listen, did what they say make sense? Did it play out in the real world? Now, I just went over a bunch of trades, just like I do every day, all the alerts every day at this time, from 12 to 2, we recap what happened during those 2 hours in the live training room. But then just as I did today, I go through the Concierge Trade Alerts, I go through the logic alerts. That's all based, everything that you saw, that happened in the real world, live in real time. You can talk with our traders in the discussion group. We're very happy to answer any questions if you're new, if you're on the trial. Okay. Nobody's trying to pull a fast one on you or pull any wool over your eyes. I didn't think we have any wool. We're very, very transparent in everything that we do. I mean, how many trading organizations out there would invite you to come in and actually speak to the people that just pay the money? Probably not a lot, I'm going to guess. But I have no problem with that because, like I said, we're very transparent. What I show you each day on the show here is I bring out the recap. That's what really happened. Those real alerts went out to real people. What they did with them is, you know, between them and God, I guess. Their accountant and their broker. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to stop wrestling with the market? Are you willing to stop wrestling with the gimmicks and the parlor tricks and that age-old question? Did it work? Did it work this time? Like it's some kind of a parlor trick. You know, you're not a trained SEAL, right? If you find yourself asking that question, you know, when you get ready to click the mouse and enter a trade, if the last thought you have before you click the mouse is, I wonder if it'll work this time, you should not pull the trigger. You should not click the mouse. You should spend some time with somebody that can help you understand that that's not the right question to be asking. The markets always work. There's never been a day since I learned about Emini Futures that the market didn't work. And when I traded equities before futures, there was never a day that the market didn't work. So if you're asking yourself that question when you click the mouse, I wonder if it'll work this time. Well, what worked? Think about that. This is a business based on probabilities. Once you understand that, you need a definable edge. Once you have a definable edge, you need to believe in the edge, not with your head, not with your lips, but with your heart. You need to understand that when you deploy that edge, statistically speaking, there is a higher probability of price going to your target before it goes to your stop loss. Now, anytime you try to make it about anything more than a probability, your ship already sunk. You can never get the right answer by asking the wrong question. And that's what I find over and over, is that so many people are asking the wrong question. If you want the right answer, you got to ask the right question. Once you have a definable edge, now there are a lot of definable edges out there that are kind of so complicated and convoluted that every time you have a trade that turns out to not be profitable, you could probably find, you know, because you got to look at so many different, you got to compare this indicator to this oscillator and all this stuff. So there's always some reason, well, why this one, you know, quote unquote, didn't work. That's why we've worked so hard over the years to just remove the noise and just make it very simple. Simply elegant. everything that you see when you look at our charts, that's our wealth. It's not very deep. I used an example, I think, on Friday. Let me see. I think I still got the charts here. Yeah. Okay. On this move up. Now, those of you that have bought your share of indicators and oscillators and stuff, you can buy an indicator that shows you the trend, and you can show another one that shows you strength, and then you can buy another one that shows you the strength of the trend, right? But sometimes those readings can be very subjective. On this move, what oscillator, what indicator did we use or need to show that this move was a very strong move? When I say that everything you need is on this chart right here, and I'm not talking about these channels or any of these other little lines or rectangles or circles, I'm just talking about the very simple indicators that we use. If you'll notice on this move up, after this bullish cross, not one of these candles closed below the step line until it printed the exit signal right there. Is every move like this? No. But every strong move is. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. All right, that's it. That's a good word for today and everything else in between. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.